With the NBA playoffs coming back, something we're going to be seeing a lot is every player's fresh new cut. But you know what else needs a fresh new cut? Your lawn. That's why you should hit up Tavon's Lawn Care. Tavon's Lawn Care LLC is a Black family-owned business located in York, Pennsylvania. Tavon's Lawn Care, or TLC for short, since they provide each job with tender love and care, has been in business for over 10 years. Founded by owner Tavon Parker, TLC aims to provide employment for underprivileged youth while providing great service at a reasonable rate. Visit Tavon's Lawn Care LLC or Tavon's Lawn Care on Facebook and Instagram to view their portfolio and request your cost-free quote today. This is the All In Podcast. I'm one of the co-hosts, Mike Badgick. As you might be able to see, we're on a little bit of a different type platform, especially for the video. You can definitely see. But I'm joined by my guy, Eli Cooper. What's up, buddy?
Doing good, man. How crazy was Raptors Celtics Game 6?
Amazing.
Right?
Well, okay, so if that was a Game 7 instead of a Game 6, that's one of the best games ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I told you not to panic, though, man. Didn't I tell you? For those of you who missed our Couch Coach Live appearance, we talked about this upcoming game, and the Celtics were up 3-2. I told Mike not to panic because the series is not over yet.
Yes.
And sure enough, his favorite player ever, Kyle Lowry, came through huge for the Raptors. So,
well, I'm a very emotional guy. I swing with the wind on, especially my team. The same way with the Steelers. When we start doing NFL, you'll find them the same way with the Steelers. 1 week they're the greatest, 1 week they're garbage, and I don't want anything to do with them. But the Raptors. Let's start with the Raptors then. Let's start. You want to go first on talking about this game and your thoughts?
Yeah. So, one, you could just see it in the Raptors, like the desperation that they played with almost, and trying to force that Game 7, because I think they truly believe that they're the better team here, and I don't think they feel that they've played that way. But I really love watching this team without Kawhi Leonard all season, because it's just like a bunch of guys that no one really had any expectations for when you think about it. Kyle Lowry was undrafted when he came into the league, and then had a good stint with Houston, which led to him coming to the Raptors, and then he blew up in Toronto and is a perennial all-star now. No one expected Siakam to be what he is now. Last year's most improved player, had a strong argument for it again this year if that category wasn't so deep. But and then you have guys like Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, who I believe is undrafted. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. But another undrafted guy. Marc Gasol, who everybody who thought his career was pretty much done, right, when he left Memphis. And granted, he's nowhere near the Marc Gasol that he was in Memphis, but he's been one of the most important players, if you ask me, for the Raptors, just on both ends of the floor. Ibaka. It's like a bunch of guys who, people casted out and had no plans or future for. And then OG Anunoby was incredible. Like, this is Sean made a great comparison yesterday as we were watching the game, is that he is the Raptors' Andre Iguodala. He hits these like timely shots. He's good defensively, interchangeable from the 2 through the 4 spot defensively. And really can even guard the 1. So, what I mean? He's someone you can put on every team's best player. He's that good defensively. So, he's probably, a little bit better than Andre Iguodala offensively. But like Andre Iguodala is solid with the Sixers, and who knows if he ever reaches that kind of offensive, play. But like this Raptors team is just so competitive, man. But this has been by far the best series, which I think we expected, right?
Yeah,
when we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. And, the Celtics, to their own right, have been special this postseason. They've been as good as they were a couple of years ago when they went with Terry Rozier and no Kyrie Irving. So, like, you can kind of see Kyrie was holding this team back. And it shows. But, like, Tatum who hit some big shots, but also had some really bad turnovers, which I'll get to.
Yeah.
But just to, go back and look at this game, throughout Game 6, it was just on both ends. It was timely shots after timely shots. Here's one of those big shots that Jayson Tatum hit. If you're watching on YouTube, he gets that sidestep 3 that gives them the 1-point lead. And then after that, it was like Kyle Lowry just went unconscious, right? He just pulls up and twice and he was like, I'm just going to shoot this ball. I don't really care if it goes in or not. It was like kind of the mindset that he had on both of those shots. He doesn't create a ton of separation, but hits 2 massive shots for them. And it looked like, Toronto was going to pull away after he knocked both of those down. But the Celtics made big plays down the stretch as well. And they just kept, fighting and clawing back and, ended up forcing overtime. And that's really first overtime, again, couldn't separate themselves. Second overtime comes and Kyle Lowry strikes again. He comes up with one of the best passes or one of the most crucial passes we've seen. And that's saying a lot because Kemba had, his pass to Tice, right, at the end of Game 5 that looked like it was going to, seal the deal for them. And then, Kyle Lowry comes up with this behind the back pass to OG Anunoby, who again makes another huge shot for the Raptors to put them up with just under a minute. And then Tatum, which, here you see, if you're watching on YouTube, he has a horrible, horrible turnover that results to a Norman Powell, and one at the other end. He ended up having a bad throwaway to Nick Nurse on the sideline. In the corner. That almost did him in. He ends up knocking a big shot down. And then Marcus Smart kind of got a good look towards the end. He traveled. And Mark Jackson and them didn't say a word about it during the broadcast, but it was a blatant walk. But got a decent look off, but just couldn't knock it down. And, again, it was probably, one of the most entertaining games of the playoffs so far. It was just, back and forth. Neither team really could pull ahead until the Raptors did in the second overtime. But it was just incredible to watch, man. This series has lived up to the hype more than maybe what people thought after the first 2 games. Yeah.
So, man, I was so stressed last night watching this game. Like the amount of big shot making was just on both teams was just unbelievable. Like one after another. Like the refs, had a say. You could say there was arguments on Twitter about the refs. You hate to see that in any game in any situation. But I think that it was still that good of a game that we're not even really talking about the refs that much now today. Game of the year for me. I think it's game of the year so far anyway. Especially when you just consider the magnitude of what's going on. Like this is the defending champs against this young crew, trying to starve off elimination. Like we've seen this kind of a battle before between a defending champ and a young team who thinks it's their time.
Yeah.
Obviously this is a little different because the defending champs don't have their best player from the previous year anymore. But still, you get that same kind of scenario where we've seen so many times. That was an amazing game. Kyle Lowry getting the respect he has been due for years, it seems like. Finally, even when he went off in the NBA Finals, he had a great NBA Finals. He still didn't get all the due that I think he deserved, and a lot of that was because Kawhi was there and he was so good that he got a lot of it. But if you watch Game 6 of the Finals, Kyle Lowry was the guy, and Fred VanVleet and Siakam really at the end were the guys getting those buckets in crunch time. It actually wasn't Kawhi. Now Kawhi was still obviously the best player. Now, looking ahead now to Game 7, I don't know. I feel like that just took so much out of the Raptors. That they had to do that perfectly almost. With Lowry playing the way he did, and OG and Norman Powell both they were just so good in Game 6. Norman Powell, both of them hitting huge shots in double overtime. Now at the end of the first overtime, going to Norman Powell in the ISO situation. I don't know if that was the right move.
Bold, but yeah.
It was bold. I mean, he had the hot hand, I guess.
Yeah, and the best matchup.
They like the matchup, but I don't think. But I don't know if. Yeah, we like that matchup because we like you going to the hoop on Kemba, not because we want you to settle for a long 2. Or really, I think he took a long 2, not even a 3.
Right.
And at the end of regulation, they're going down the stretch. And, like, we have, like, a little bit of a cushion. Boston's coming back. And, like, we kept going to Siakam in these post-up or, like, one-on-one ISO on the wings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, screaming, like, stop. Like, just stop giving him the ball. Like, let's just run our offense. Give it to Lowry. Give it to Van Fleet. Anybody. Stop giving it to Siakam on Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown's doing a great job on him.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, actually, Siakam did end up getting a bucket in that situation. A big bucket, too. So it went to overtime, and then it was just big shot, big shot, big shot. I just feel like that was so draining. Like, if Kyle Lowry after the game, like, you could hear him talking to the reporter, I forget who it was, but he was talking, and he was so exhausted. He's like, we just got to win. Like, he couldn't even answer the questions. Like, he was like, we just got to win. I'm trying so hard. Like, and he is. And, yeah, it also made me wonder about, like, when they get to Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, if they're going to start, like, chilling out with the game every other day.
Yeah.
Because these guys are worn down, like especially after this series. Like these guys, Miami's going to have a huge advantage just from right, just from the perspective of they've been off, and this is, and it's not even like they're off and these guys are playing. Like they're off and these guys are like grinding, like 48 minutes, actually 50 plus minutes for these guys. Last game, a lot of them played 50 plus minutes. So it was an amazing game. One of my favorite games as a Raptors fan in the history of being a Raptors fan. But here's the thing. We know from history that Game 6 does not mean anything if you lose Game 7. And if they lose Game 7, we're going to totally forget about this Game 6 probably. So, you know, but I think it's going to be a good one. I don't, you know, this just shows like there's no quit in this team. They're up against the wall. Like they're just not going to quit. They even got down early in this game. And I was like, and I'm thinking, you know, they're down 10 in the second quarter. And I'm thinking, oh man, like they didn't even put up a fight. Like we're just going to roll over. But like, hey, Nick Nurse, whatever he said at halftime, and then Lowry, like, it was awesome, dude. It was so awesome.
Agreed. So who you got Game 7?
I'm going with Toronto.
Of course.
I can't – listen. Actually, you know what? Actually, I'm going with Boston.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Jinx is in full effect. So, I picked Toronto at the beginning. They lost the first two. I switched it to Boston. Then they lost two. I switched it to Toronto. They got killed. Switched it back to Boston. Toronto won. So I'm picking Boston.
Yeah, you're on a Charles Barkley like streak right now.
For this series, yes. For this series.
For this one, yeah.
And I think it's because there's so many emotions involved that I cannot think straight on this.
Yes.
So
you can tell.
So with that being said, I'm going totally emotions on my pick now, and I'm picking the Celtics. Hopefully, jinxing myself, and the Raptors will win.
Yeah, I'm going with the Celtics in 7. I think that's what I had originally. Yeah. So I'm going to stay with it. Because the series has kind of played out exactly what I thought. However, if the Raptors win in Game 7, I wouldn't be surprised. They have, you know, obviously enough talent to do it. So
yeah,
I think Kemba plays a lot better because he was awful last night. Right. I think he plays a lot better in Game 7.
I wanted to talk about that actually. The Nick Nurse and like whatever, junk defenses are stupid a lot of the time.
Oh yeah,
but okay, so. He ran that box and one, and like traditionally, you think of a box and one, you're like put the guy on the other team's best player, and then you try to do it that way. Mm-hmm. Well, like actually, he didn't do that. He put the box and one guy on Kemba, and I think it worked really well. Like even if it didn't work, you know, like even if they didn't win the scoring battle while they were in the box and one, it kind of threw Kemba off the rest of the game to where his rhythm was screwed up. He wasn't as aggressive. Like, yeah, I think that had something to do with it actually. So. Nick Nurse, kudos for throwing out the junk defense. It's not always, you know, what you might think.
Yeah, and like who would ever expect a box and one run against this Celtics team with the amount of weapons that they have? That probably threw them completely off guard because no one would ever expect it. So, and definitely threw Kemba out of rhythm because he was awful. So, you know, I think they'll probably prepare for it at least a little bit. You know, I would think coming into the next game, but. You know, it was certainly interesting to watch.
Yeah, but also it just shows how desperate the Raptors were, right, after Game 5.
Yeah,
I mean, Matt Thomas is playing minutes. Like,
yeah, so
a lot of our rotations, like,
yeah, man.
So Nick Nurse is like, I'll try anything. So,
yeah, and it worked. Kudos
to
him, man.
Coach of the year. So, you want to move on to NFL topics?
Yes. So surprisingly, this isn't an NBA show today.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So NFL's back tonight. Chiefs, Texans. Actually, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll do our bold predictions for NFL.